will be the primary way to notify vendors of available business opportunities for a request for bids and proposals. Be sure to enroll, update your business information, and include your email address in the Payee Information Portal at nyc.gov/PIP or call 311 for assistance.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
This is New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer. It's my job to protect the city's bottom line and ensure that every New Yorker has equal economic opportunity and access to government. My Community Action Center is here to help. If you need assistance from my office, from questions about your pension, a claim against the city, or even concerns about a possible labor law violation, call us at 212-669-3916.
Hello, this is Donna Corrado, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging. Elder abuse comes in many forms and may include financial exploitation, physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, neglect, or abandonment. Concerned family members, friends, and neighbors can help. If you hear threats or yelling, see bruising or other suspicious behavior, and your gut tells you something is wrong, reach out to a trained professional for advice. Call 911 in an emergency or 311 and ask to speak with an elder abuse specialist and do your part to protect our city seniors.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Did you know that NYC Health and Hospitals serves 1.4 million New Yorkers? Our health system includes hospitals, neighborhood health centers, nursing homes, and post-acute care centers. We are a home care agency and a health plan, Metro Plus. Our talented and diverse workforce is uniquely able to offer high-quality and culturally responsive health care to patients and families. Visit us at nychealthandhospitals.org.
Brooklyn Bridge Park keeps getting better. Hi, I'm Regina Meyer, president of Brooklyn Bridge Park, and we're thrilled to welcome visitors to another exciting season on the Brooklyn waterfront. This summer, come visit our brand new marina, climb the bouldering wall at Main Street in Dumbo, or have a barbecue at the Picnic Peninsula. There is truly something for everyone. Visit brooklynbridgepark.org or call 311 for more information. See you at the park.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hello, this is Gladys Gatillon, Commissioner for the City's Administration for Children's Services. Is your teen acting out, running away from home, skipping school, using drugs? Did you know that the city's Family Assessment Program, FAP, provides support to families who are struggling with their teenagers? FAP can help you reduce conflict and connect you to family counseling, substance abuse services, crisis intervention, and other supports. For more information, call 311.
Hi, I'm City Controller Scott Stringer. As the city's financial watchdog, it's my job to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in city government, and I need your help. If you know of someone ripping off the taxpayers, of city property being wasted or misused, please let me know by making an anonymous call to 212-NO-WASTE. That's 212-669-2783.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Hello, I'm Donna Corrado, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging. New York Connects is a trusted place for people of all ages, regardless of income or disability, to discover ways to remain independent at home and in their communities. And if you are in need of skilled nursing care or residential placements, we're here to help. To learn more, call 311 and ask about New York Connects today. Thank you.
Did you know Metro Plus Health Plan, part of NYC Health and Hospitals, is the plan of choice for 500,000 New Yorkers? For nearly a decade, Metro Plus has been the top-rated health plan in customer satisfaction. Metro Plus offers affordable health insurance coverage for New Yorkers of all incomes, including a plan with $0 to $20 monthly deductibles. Find out more at metroplus.org.
Remember,
Can we get started? Please take our seats. Everybody take your seats, please. Good morning, everyone. Let's try it again, please. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. September 11th, 2001 was one of, if not the, darkest single day in American history. As Americans, it is important that each year we honor and remember those who lost their lives that day, and that we honor the heroes on that day and recall how 9/11 changed our nation and our world. Like many of you in this room, I am a New Yorker, present in Manhattan 15 years ago on that day, which happens to be my birthday, and was an eyewitness to the events of that day. Of course, out of that day, 15 years ago, the Department of Homeland Security was born, and my own personal resolve to our Homeland Security mission was born. On each 9/11 of each year, we look back and reflect. We must also look forward. Terrorism cannot prevail if we refuse to be terrorized. We are a strong and resilient nation of courageous, strong, and resilient people. We always come back stronger from disaster and tragedy. Terrorism cannot prevail if we refuse to be terrorized. Sunday is meant to be a somber day. Today is meant to be an uplifting day, a sign of our determination to move forward and to come back stronger than ever before. Literally, out of the ashes, we have rebuilt stronger and taller. Earlier this year, the United States government returned to this site, returned to this World Trade Center in this new building, the One World Trade Center. Customs and Border Protection, which is part of the Department of Homeland Security, now occupies the 50th and 51st floors. FEMA, which is also part of DHS, occupies the 52nd and 53rd floors. GSA occupies the 54th and 55th floors. Today, we mark that return. This is an uplifting occasion. To help us mark this special occasion, we're joined by very, very special people. His Eminence Cardinal Dolan, my good friend Mayor Bill de Blasio, and I'm told this happens to be, Bill, your wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul of the state of New York, my co-tenant in this building, the GSA Administrator, Denise Turner Roth, and Your Eminence, if you forgive me, there are other lords to which I must pay respect, my landlords. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Patrick Foy, the Executive Director of the Port Authority, is here. Our other landlord, the Durst Corporation, Mr. Douglas Durst, Chair of the Durst Corporation, is here to talk to us, and a host of very special people, distinguished officials, elected officials. The two were not meant to be exclusive. Distinguished and elected officials, members of the judiciary, my DHS colleagues, DHS leadership, our workforce, and our friends. Now, before proceeding, I'd like to have a presentation of the colors by our CBP Honor Guard and the singing of our national anthem by Officer Freddie Sepulveda of CBP. Please rise. Honor Guard, present the colors.
Mark time. March. Left turn. March. Present. Off.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Off. Prepare to post colors. Order. Color. Post. Color. Present. Off. Order. Off. Right turn. Mark. Left. Left.
Thank you very much. Now, I want to take an item of personal privilege, not on the program, before we proceed with the program. Lieutenant Commander Fuentes, where are you? Okay, please come forward. I have a very special friend here who has been a distinguished public servant for some time, who is about to retire from public service, or at least that's his aim. And he and I have been terrific partners in Homeland Security, in law enforcement. Bill Bratton has never hesitated to be there for our country, for the city of New York, and numerous other jurisdictions which he has served. Bill, you've been a terrific friend to the Department of Homeland Security. We've been together for national TV interviews. I asked Bill Bratton one day to come in to New York City to do a full Ginsburg with me, all 5 Sunday morning news shows, to sort of calm the waters during a relatively turbulent time in June, and Commissioner Bratton did not hesitate to do so. And so on this occasion, which I believe is the week before the last week you serve as Commissioner of the City of New York, of the Police Department of the City of New York, I want to present to you my Department of Homeland Security's highest award for your service. Commissioner, please come forward. Please have a seat. It is my special pleasure and my honor to begin the program by presenting His Eminence, Cardinal Dolan, for our invocation. Please come forward.
Thanks, Mr. Secretary. Let us pray. Dear God and Father of us all, you are the Lord of departures and returns, of goings and comings. And today, with the somber anniversary of 9/11 looming only 2 days away, we, grateful citizens of this one nation under God, celebrate a return, the coming back of federal offices housing the Department of Homeland Security to this daring and stunning edifice. We are consoled and challenged by the mission of this office. With honor and integrity, we will safeguard the American people, our homeland, our values. Grant our officers of national security that sense of unfailing honor and integrity. Protect them in their high and noble vocation of safeguarding the American people and our beloved earthly homeland, and conform their values ever to your own. You are the God we trust, and we ask your blessing, protection, and guidance in this space and the people who serve here, you who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. Thanks, Mr. Secretary. It was an honor to do that. Okay.
Thank you, Your Eminence. It is now my pleasure to present to you my good friend and partner in Homeland Security. Bill de Blasio is someone I've known now for almost 3 years. He is a terrific partner for public safety and Homeland Security. It's been a real pleasure working with the mayor of the city of New York, and I'm very pleased that he could join us here today for this special program. Mayor de Blasio, please come forward.
Mr. Secretary, I want to thank you on behalf of all New Yorkers. You've been an extraordinary partner. And I want to thank you also for honoring Bill Bratton, because he is so worthy of that honor for all he's done for this city and this nation. One of the things that Commissioner Bratton has spoken about so clearly is the need for all levels of government to work together, to really see ourselves as one team. That wasn't always the case, but it has become so more and more, and for the good of the American people. But Mr. Secretary, you have led that movement. You have been one of the people that have helped to bind together local governments, state governments, and federal agencies into one team to protect the American people. Thank you for your leadership. I want to also note, in addition to Commissioner Bratton, I want to thank some of the key leaders of our cities, public safety, infrastructure. We depend on them every day. They do extraordinary work. Chief James Waters, NYPD Counterterrorism, Chief Tom Galati, NYPD Intelligence, Joe Esposito, our Commissioner for the Office of Emergency Management, Chief Joe Pfeiffer, FDNY Counterterrorism and Emergency Preparedness. All of them have an extraordinary record of keeping this city safe. We thank them all. A special thank you, Cardinal Dolan, for being here. Whenever you are someplace, it makes the event something special and something particularly meaningful. And I want to thank you. This is a good news moment And I know you spread the good news for a living, so it only makes sense that you would be here. Thank you, Denise Turner-Roth, the GSA Administrator, Pat Foy of the Port Authority, Michael Byrne of FEMA, and Douglas Durst, thank you so much. It is a day to recognize how far we've come. It's a day to remember. The Secretary always invokes that point. We won't allow ourselves to be terrorized. Well, the terrorists attacked this nation. They attacked New York City in particular, and I often say it was not just a physical attack, it was an attack on our values. It was an effort to undermine our democracy. It was an effort to make us retreat from what we believe. And had we gone into a defensive crouch, had we as a nation decided we had to retreat and retreat, it would have been sadly a victory for a terrorist. But there was such resolve at the federal level, state level, city level. We'd rebuild here. We would bring back all of the strength that we associated with this location, including now the presence of our federal government. We would show that the terrorists achieved none of their aims. In fact, they strengthened our resolve. And today is one of those days that puts an exclamation point on that idea. Federal government is back in strength here at the World Trade Center. A message to the entire world that we will never, ever renounce our values or be afraid. So I see a lot of meaning. In fact, you could even say the terrorist plan backfired. Ultimately, we became stronger. We became more unified. We figured out ways to make ourselves safer. We found ways to work together that we hadn't before. In some way, we dug deeper and made ourselves better. You see it here today. People come to this site from all over the world. It is something that now is a symbol to people around the world of resilience, fortitude. They come here to recognize the ultimate victory of the people of this country over the terrorists. I also come here, of course, to mourn. And we lost many good people that day, 9/11. We also lost among them 3 federal employees, and we will not forget them. And we won't forget the hard work of all of our federal partners. So today, by the federal government returning, we become more whole, and we become stronger, and we become more unified. Now, that cooperation I mentioned earlier, that has been what has allowed us ever more effectively to make sure there won't be another 9/11. I like to remind people that since that day, 15 years ago, there have been almost 20 plots directed at New York City or originating in New York City. 20 efforts to terrorize the people again. Every one of them thwarted by the NYPD with the close cooperation of our federal partners. And it's something for people to really take stock of. How much we learned to fight shoulder to shoulder and to thwart plot after plot. And we will continue that work. In fact, we will deepen that work. One of the things that we know in this city is we have to put forward the kind of strong capacity to make sure there is not another terror attack. That's why we have 500+ officers in our Critical Response Command, our CRC, highly trained, well-equipped, full-time fighting and preventing terror, working closely with other strategic units, the NYPD, and our federal partners. That's an evolution. That's a change from even just a few years ago because we saw the changing face of terror and because Secretary Johnson and others counseled us to build up our capacity, while at the same time reaching deeper into our communities to make sure we had the cooperation and the flow of information we needed from community members to protect us all. That's what's been developing in this city and cities around the country. Finally, right here in New York City. Well, that day after 9/11, I think we all felt a sense of fear, confusion. We didn't know what might come next. We didn't know if this was the start of something even worse. But we all hung together. We all believed we could recover, but now we've done something more than recover. Lower Manhattan, a booming neighborhood, both economically and now as a residential center. The city of New York, the largest population it's ever had, the most jobs we've ever had in the city in our history. The terrorists lost, and they lost badly. This place came back literally stronger than ever. We expect 60 million tourists in New York City this year. None of them are afraid to be here. They all believe that the terrorists lost and that this is a place to celebrate that triumph. So we'll continue to deepen our work with our federal partners. I thank Secretary Johnson. I thank everyone at Homeland Security, at FEMA, at GSA, at Customs and Border Patrol, all the great people who will be working in this building. You're making New York City stronger and our nation stronger. And on behalf of all 8.5 million New Yorkers, a very, very warm congratulations on this special day. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Bill. It is now my pleasure to present the Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York, former Congresswoman, and now Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And when I was a member of Congress, I served on the House Homeland Security with oversight over not your operations, but your predecessor. And I want to commend you on the phenomenal work that you and the 230,000 people that you represent in your agency for keeping the homeland safe. You've been a success thus far. We continue to work closely with you to make sure that we are ensure that all Americans are safe. But it takes leadership, and you've demonstrated that so ably on behalf of our government. I want to thank you. And it's always great to see His Eminence Cardinal Dolan, and I do take inspiration from your remarks. I listen closely to your prayers. I may stray a little bit sometimes on Sundays, but I always listen when you're at these events. So thank you for reminding us that we're here for a greater purpose, and as you always do so beautifully. And Mayor de Blasio, I know he's got some events to attend to today, but thank you for your presence and your leadership of this community. And our Administrator of General Services, Denise Turner-Roth, this is great to have you here as well, an honor for us. And Patrick Foy, leading the way you have this incredible bureaucracy and entity known as the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. How incredible you've done and taken it to new levels. But the collaboration that had to occur from your agency and the federal agencies and the Durst family, all of you brought this together in a way that you cannot take for granted. So thank you again for your leadership on behalf of our governor. And I see we also have Councilman Dan Grodnick here, one of my partners in government, and so many others. And I just want to say, the last time I was in this space was when Governor Cuomo and I were sworn in, January 1st, 2015. So that was my first day officially representing the people of New York as well. So I come back here with a tremendous sense of pride to have been invited to represent the people of the entire state on this momentous occasion. And actually, it was the crack of dawn this morning. As I was flying down, I was leading a trade mission in Ottawa on behalf of our state, and I was asked to participate, so I got up rather early, and I flew here before the sun came up. And as I approached Manhattan, my eyes woke up, and all of a sudden, for a second, I almost expected to see the Twin Towers. I think that image will always be enshrined in my mind, that they belong there. But in its place is something so magnificent. And it was not an accident that this is 1776 feet high. That's a reminder of the birth of our nation, but also the rebirth of this site. And that is something that is always going to be part of us, to realize that the very existence of this building says that we're Americans, we're New Yorkers, and we always come back. And that is the sense of pride we have. We persevere, we rebuild, and we triumph. And so when the dedicated public servants walk through the doors of this building on their way to work, representing the GSA and FEMA and Customs and Border Patrol and so many agencies, they walk through those doors knowing that they carry with them the spirit, the hopes, and the dreams of the people who did not go home that day a decade and a half ago. But they should also carry with them the pride of representing the greatest nation on earth in the most fascinating city on this planet. They should have that pride as public servants. And at the end of the day, our government and our economy and our financial system were not defined by the buildings that house us, whether it was World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, whether it was the Pentagon, whether it was our nation's capital, the White House. Those really, at the end of the day, are just symbols of our government and our institutions. It is the people who come to these doors, who put their heart and soul into the work as public servants. And there is nobility in public service. I have believed this my entire life. It is our way of giving back and making our communities better and stronger and justifying our time on earth. So to all the federal employees, welcome home, welcome back, and your presence here is a symbol to all Americans that we are all back. Thank you very much on behalf of our governor.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. It is now my pleasure to next present my federal co-tenant, the Administrator of GSA, Denise Turner-Roth. Please come forward.
Secretary Johnson, thank you very much for having the foresight to bring us together today and giving us this opportunity to recognize our return to this building and this place. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, I'm sorry that he had to leave, but thank you for joining us, certainly. Patrick Foy, thank you for your partnership, as well as our gracious host, Douglas Durst. Thank you for everything that you've done in helping us get settled here and get into place. I'd also like to thank our staff in Region 2, led by Regional Administrator Denise Pease, not Denise Turner-Roth, Denise Pease. Thank you, Denise, for everything that you've done in terms of just holding down the fort for us here in Region 2 and being a wonderful partner. And our tenants at DHS and our partners, we appreciate the moment to be with you. In this moment of national reflection, determination, and hope, the United States General Services Administration family offers our respect and love to the families who've lost loved ones 15 years ago. On September 11th and every day of the year, our public servants are committed to fortifying the institutions that serve the American people so that every man, woman, and child has the same chance at happiness and prosperity. As employees of the American public, we see public service as essential to upholding the promise of democracy and open government. It is a positive, forward-looking affirmation of American values, perseverance, and progress. The 12,000 women and men of the General Services Administration take this responsibility very seriously. GSA is often referred to as the backbone of the federal government. We are the premier strategic partner for every federal agency, anticipating their future needs by delivering the best value in real estate acquisition and technology services to the government and the American people. This allows our federal partners to focus on their core missions, such as providing veterans benefits, leading disaster recovery efforts, defending the homeland, and so much more. Each and every federal employee plays an essential role performing such duties. You are indispensable to the workings of government and are at the forefront of making positive change in communities across the country. And that includes right here in this space. I know that the move to this beautiful state-of-the-art building is a very personal event, and that it is laden with deep significance for many of you. But it is also an unmistakable declaration of resolve and optimism. And by spearheading the return of the federal workforce to one world trade, you are making our nation stronger and more resilient. Your presence right here on this day represents a deep dedication to country and your fellow citizens. Our public servants at the General Services Administration, at CBP, FEMA, and across the federal government all embody this commitment. I could not be more proud of you and grateful for all that you do. Thank you to the Lieutenant Governor for being with us as well today. And thank you all. God bless America.
Patrick Foy, Executive Director of the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. Pat, could you please come forward? Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for bringing us together today. I'm going to start by breaching protocol. Before recognizing the Cardinal or the Lieutenant Governor, I want to recognize GSA Administrator Roth and Regional Administrator Denise Pease for their trust and confidence in the Port Authority and the Durst Organization, and for all the space they've rented in this building. Having done that, let me now recognize His Eminence Cardinal Dolan, Lieutenant Governor Hochul, Mayor de Blasio, who was with us earlier, U.S. Attorneys Capers and Fishman, Commissioner Bratton in his last week of service, D.A. Vance, and our partner in One World Trade Center, Douglas Durst. In many ways, today represents a closing of the circle. The federal government has had a substantial presence in Lower Manhattan since the beginnings of this country. You can go down to the Customs House, not far from here, and see that. I'll note the Customs House was actually a tax collection place which generated a significant portion of the revenue of a young United States of America. In the 1970s, the federal government was one of the first and anchor tenants in the World Trade Center in the Twin Towers. The circle is being closed nearly 15 years, almost 15 years after the terrible events on 9/11, when 3,000 people were murdered by terrorist acts, and the federal government has returned. Secretary Johnson, thank you for bringing us all together today. As the Secretary noted, his department was created literally in the days following September 11th. So it's fitting that today we welcome DHS and its federal partners back to the World Trade Center. We at the Port Authority and the people of this region are continually grateful for the Secretary's exceptional leadership and the tremendous work that you and your staff and your federal partners do to keep all of us safe each and every day. The Port Authority every day partners with our federal partners, DHS, including TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, Federal Air Marshals, and many partners outside DHS, including Customs and Border Protection, the FBI, and frankly, the whole federal family. In just a few days, we'll recognize the 15th anniversary of 9/11. The road to recovery was long and challenging, and rebuilding this site would not have been possible without the commitment and support of many of our partners here today. As I said, our federal partners had a long-standing presence in the former World Trade Center, with agencies then ranging from the Department of Commerce, Agriculture and Labor, to the IRS and the Secret Service. As a result, it feels particularly significant to commemorate your return today to the new World Trade Center. And we're honored to host the General Services Administration, Customs and Border Protection, FEMA, and DHS in this building here now. In many ways, your presence symbolizes the true spirit and the completion of rebuilding as we make this place again a vibrant place for people to travel, work, and live. Lastly, I want to especially thank and recognize Denise Pease of the GSA Region 2, one of our most valuable partners in bringing federal agencies back. I want to recognize Denise, her colleagues here and in Washington for their tireless dedication and thoughtful creativity. Denise was instrumental in the process, and we would certainly not be here as quickly and smoothly without her work. Mr. Secretary, thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Douglas Durst, Chair of the Durst Corporation, our building manager.
Thank you, Secretary, and thank you all for those kind words. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Sorry you had to leave. Administrator Roth and Cardinal Dolan and Lieutenant Governor Hochul. It's a great honor to welcome you all to One World Trade Center and to be a part of this program. One World Trade Center is proud to welcome the federal government back to our site and to our building. It is a tremendous statement of support for the rebuilding and repopulating of the World Trade Center to have you as our tenant. Your return was an important goal for the World Trade Center. And for me personally, I am also proud that the design and construction of the GSA space received a Design Excellence Award yesterday in Washington. You, along with Condé Nast and our more than 24 other tenants, demonstrate that One World Trade Center is not only an exciting place to work and do business, but a building that fosters creativity, innovation, and beauty. You have brought these qualities, as well as your dedication to public service, to One World Trade Center, and we are profoundly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a lot of friends here, and I would take another hour to recognize them all. I do want to recognize the senior leaders of the Department of Homeland Security who are here today. As I call your name, please stand. Our Deputy Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas. Undersecretary for Management, Russ Dio. Our Chief of Staff, my Chief of Staff, Paul Rosen. Deputy Administrator of FEMA, Joe Nimich. The Director of the Secret Service, Joe Clancy. Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Gil Kurlikowski. Director of our Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, Megan Mack. Our Assistant Secretary for Critical Infrastructure, Caitlin Durkovich. In the second row, we have two Presidential Rank Award winners. The Deputy Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Kevin McElhaney. Connie Patrick, our Director of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. And our Assistant Secretary for Health Affairs, Kathleen Brinsfield. Thank you all for what you do to protect Homeland Security. Now, also with us today, who is a part of our DHS family, is our Deputy Regional Administrator for Region 2 here in New York for FEMA, Mr. Michael Byrne, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Mr. Byrne is a first responder of the special kind. He was a first responder here when this building was first attacked in 1993. He was a first responder here when this building was attacked in 2001. He is a retired member of the New York City Fire Department and has been a public servant for 30 years. And today we are honored that he's part of our family as our Deputy Regional Administrator of FEMA. Michael, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guest, I want you to forgive me, but I'm going to share some of my backstory because I think it'll resonate with a lot of you, because I think many of you share some of the similarities. Certainly I see friends like Joe Pfeiffer here and Joe Clancy, who I worked with in the White House, and it's great to be up here to represent them. I got to go way back, though, to the 1970s to start. I actually was a steel worker before I became a New York City fireman. And as a steel worker, I didn't work on the two towers, but I worked on a lot of jobs around here. In fact, that's some of my work out there. Followed my father's footsteps. And there was a guy I worked with. His name was Mortimer Smith. Smitty, we called him. And he was an interesting character. He was a large man, both in size and in spirit. And he took great pride in the work that we did. But being a steel laborer is not a pretty job. It's a dirty job. You're cold in the winter. You're really hot in the summer. The steel is unforgiving. And you end the day really rusty and dirty. But Smitty used to go up to a fire hydrant that we'd turn on. Forgive me, Chief, for turning the fire hydrant on. I learned better. And he'd wash up. And then he'd put on a jacket and shirt and tie. And he even had a briefcase that he put his dirty gloves into. And he'd go home, dressed like that, because he took such pride in it. His neighbors thought he worked on Wall Street. Now, the reason I mentioned Smitty is that, in fact, he even made business cards, if you can believe that. Mortimer J. Smith, Steel Expediter. Yeah, he was a character. But the reason I mention him and remember my father and the time I spent as a steel laborer is because there was one thing we all had in common is that when he worked on the towers, and he told me about the intensity of the job, how difficult it was with the heights involved and everything, but the pride and the accomplishment. When you walk around with a steel worker around the building, it's not your building, it's their building. They feel like they built it. My father said, I built that one, and Smitty would do the same thing. I'd like to fast forward to 1993. As the Secretary mentioned, I was a lieutenant, a much younger lieutenant in New York City Fire Department, and I led Ladder 12 into Tower 2. I am so proud of the team I had that day. They were an incredible group of people. And we went up and down the stairs many, many times, helping people to safety. But there's one particular rescue that we did that day that I'm particularly proud of my team. They found a young woman on the 44th floor, and she was 5 months pregnant, and because of the stress of the attack, she started to go into premature labor. My team carried her down the 44 floors to an ambulance, and she made it to the hospital, and she had that baby. And out there today, there's a young woman that a few months ago turned 23. And I'm really proud of my team and the work they did that day. I then needed to get an adult job, because being a fireman is just a lot of fun sometimes, and I came to FEMA after 20 years in the New York City Fire Department. And here, I started my career here in Region 2. I came to discover, as many of my colleagues here from Region 2 and other parts of FEMA have discovered, just what an inspiring mission we have to help people, here at FEMA and DHS when people need help the most. And it is truly an honor to be able to do that. And I was in that job on 9/11 when the towers fell. There's a lot, all of us have our own personal memories of that day and each of our own experiences. But right now, all I really want to say about that was I've never in my career felt more closely connected with all of the different team members, whether it's the public sector, the private sector, the federal government, state government, local government, nonprofit. I've never felt so closely united than during that response. Then something really unexpected happened, and this is when I got to meet Joe. I actually got asked to join a very small team at the time in the White House and worked for Governor Ridge, your predecessor, sir. And, we were called the Office of Homeland Security. And I was there, too. I was blessed to work with some extraordinary men and women. The result of that effort is the Department of Homeland Security. And it is apparent today, as we're led by Secretary Johnson, that we are a more united, I believe, agile nation because of the integration of our department under one mission, to protect the American people and to take care of them when bad things do happen. And it is the spirit of that unity of effort that I felt on 9/11, I still feel to this day, and I think the department is the embodiment of that. Unfortunately, again, this site, which has had so much history, and certainly in my life and in many of our lives, got hit again with Sandy. I was honored to be the federal coordinating officer for the response here, and yet again, it was another setback for us when the storm hit. But I found, after briefing the president on how things were going here, he said 3 words to me. He shook my hand and he said, "Stay on it." New York understands that, right? Okay. And we did, and the proof that we stayed on it is that we're here today. Finally, this morning, as I do each morning when I come into the office here, I walk past the memorials, remembering my lost friends, our lost friends, and colleagues. And walking by, I'll stop and look at some of the names of friends that I knew and remember times that we had together. And some of them are my patron saints, Your Eminence. Patron saint of compassion, Deputy Commissioner Bill Feehan, probably the most compassionate man I ever worked for. The get it done no matter what, Chief Ray Downey, who was an inspiration to me. And then the don't settle for anything but perfection, Captain Terry Hatton. It's either outstanding or it's unacceptable. And I try to take spirit in that, and I ask all my fallen friends for their blessing, as I know many of you do the same. Something that happened when they reopened the Pentagon struck me in that there was a senior airman there who had lost an aunt in the attack on 9/11. And he was quoted by a reporter saying, "Not rebuilding would have been giving in to terrorism." It gives me some serenity to think the building is back up. And in a way, I can feel that my aunt is being remembered here. No matter how much it hurts, when you are in military or in public service, you have no choice but to move on. We had a job to do, and we did it. Today, we share that call to service, and we feel a renewed commitment in this beautiful building to continue the mission for which our fallen friends gave their all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. So we don't have a ribbon to cut. We've been here now for some months, but we do have something to mark the occasion. What I'd like to do is to present this plaque to conclude this program to the Regional Administrator of GSA. Denise, please come forward. The Regional Administrator of FEMA, and our CBP Director of Field Operations, Bobby Perez. Where's Bobby? There you are. Please come forward. And why don't I stand here? Denise, and I hereby present to the new federal tenants of One World Trade Center this plaque as a commemoration of today and how we are stronger, resilient, and courageous. Please accept this. Commissioner, come on up. Denise. Joe, let's call the photo up. All right. Thank you. All right, we're just about done. Thank you all for being here. It's been a special occasion. We've been planning this for months. I'm so glad we have such a great audience here. Let's not to forget to commemorate and recall on Sunday here at the Pentagon, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the courage, the loss of what happened, and to pray for our city, our country, our world, a better place to live, a safer world, a safer country, a safer homeland. Thank you all for being here. Before we conclude the program, please rise for the retirement of the colors. Honor Guard, retire the colors.
Mark time, march. Left turn, march. Present, on. Order, on. Prepare to retrieve the colors. Retrieve. Colors. Right turn, march.
Thank you for being here. God bless you. God bless America.